I don't know whether it's possible. So if Ugandans run an airline and they were to believe that they are serious, unless Museveni says Mhozi Kainerugaba is the CEO. Now, if Mhozi is there, who will come and say, try to push him to do anything? So there the airline is, and unless he is incapable of running it, at least we know that no one can push him. Or maybe you get Edwin Karujiri, or Rekiri Wabogo, or Natasha Karujiri. I personally believe that those people who are his family members, who can easily reach him. Everybody else, I can tell you that he will kick you around and you will be out.
Uganda Airlines. Omuntu ayinza okugamba nti lwaki mwogera nnyo ku Uganda Airlines? It's a national pride. As Ugandans, tetulina bintu bingi birungi mu ggwanga lyaffe. Tulina okukyogera. Nannyini mufu yakwata owawunya. As a country, we don't have so much good going on. There's so much negativity. Eggwanga, omuntu ayinza okugamba liri ku boiling point. There's so much drama. Ebintu ebirungi mu ggwanga lyaffe si bingi nnyo. Naye oyinza okugamba nti Uganda Airlines was putting us out there. So we care about it. We do care. And that's why abantu ab'enjawulo bavayo ne bakola commentary oba ne bawa endowooza ku airline y'eggwanga. During the week, waliwo show eyali ku UBC nga Andrew Mwenda kwali n'amenyaamenya ensonga. Andrew is a veteran. Oyinza okugamba nti be baatandika ebintu bino ebyokuwa commentary ku nsonga ez'enjawulo. Before then, byabanga ku radio, ku TVs, mu kaseera kano oyinza okugamba nti discussions zajja ku social media. Hence the rise of people like me and Mwenda Uganda Plus 256 okuwa commentary on issues happening in the country. Andrew was the godfather of that. Bebakitandika nga bakikuba ku level ey'enjawulo. He's a smart man, musajja mugezi. Osobola okukiraba nti wanjawulo nnyo ku ba political commentators abaasookawo abawa endowooza. Akikuba ku level ey'enjawulo. So yadda okuwa ensonga lwaki alowooza as a country we don't deserve to run an airline. Nga akunnyonnyola where he thinks the problem is. He echoes the comments or the thoughts of very many Ugandans. Ebintu, since Uganda Airlines weyatandikira, people have been speaking about them. Mu video ya leero, tugenda kuyita mu breakdown ya Andrew Mwenda tulabe, do we agree with him? Oba, he's just talking nonsense. Katandike video.
The airline, Emirates Airlines, is the most profitable airline in the world. It's owned by the government of Dubai. Do you know the CEO of Emirates? It is Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, the vice president of the United Arab Emirates, and also the prime minister. He's the CEO actually. He runs the airline. So it's like President Museveni being the CEO of Uganda Airlines. That's how strategically important Emirates is to the economy of Dubai. Now, the problem that I see is that states, the point I'd like to make is that states are not generic. States vary in terms of their internal institutional capabilities, what you would call institutional endowments. Mm-hmm. They also vary in terms of their politics and how these states relate to the societies around them. When you come to, so you can say Ethiopia has run a very successful airline because they have hired professionals and the government has kept politics out of it. Emirates has done the same thing. You may wish to know that the British Airways was at its best when it was owned by the government of the United Kingdom. So governments can run businesses and can run them very well. But in the specific context of the government of Uganda and its politics, I would not advise them to own an airline. Why? And in that article of 2019, I gave conditions in which Uganda can run an independent airline. Me, I don't give theoretical answers, I give practical ones. So if Uganda was to be serious about an airline, and as the minister, my great-grandson, Chris said, it needs to enjoy a high degree of independence from two things. One, from Uganda's democratic politics. You see, if you are going to listen to the voice of every disgruntled citizen on the street, you cannot manage a business. So you need to insulate a business like that from popular pressures. It is not true that because the vast majority of people feel and believe something, then it is correct. That is stage number one. The second, you need to insulate the airline from what I normally call political buccaneering. People, this one wants a tender, this wants supply, this one wants to do this.
So Andrew atandika nga kwa live example ya Ethiopian Airlines ne Fly Emirates. Tukimanyi nti these are some of the most functional and profitable airlines worldwide. Ethiopian Airlines is a superpower mu Africa. Naye ekyenjawulo kye balina, they've managed to protect their airlines from politics. Mu ggwanga lyaffe omuntu ayinza okugamba nti the behaviors oba the rotten culture ya infiltrating Uganda Airlines ng'ate ekyali ntonga ekyali ku musingi ne bagikuba nga tana kutambula buli muntu ng'anoonya tenda wanaakolera ssente abazzukulu baretiring nga balina emyaka 5 kwegamba buli omu ayagala kubba. Tukimanyi nti mu ggwanga lyaffe institutes ez'enjawulo they are struggling because of that culture. The culture of I'm working for my stomach. I'm not working for the institute or for the country. Ng'ekireese omuntu oyo okujjuza lubuto lwe nga the moment they announce ne bagamba nti tukuwadde omulimu gwe boss wa institute eno ng'akimanyi ngenda kugiryamu ssente bwe ziti ng'akimanyi kantandika okupulinga strings ndabe engeri gye nkigaggawaliramu tekikomaawo bakyaliibe abantu b'amanyi different other institutes eziri linked. For example, ku Uganda Airlines nabo ne batandika okukiryamu eventually nga bakikuba bakiteeka ku maviivi. Politics ayonoonye ebintu bingi mu ggwanga lyaffe. So Andrew akunnywa n'agamba nti ekyenjawulo ebintu nga Ethiopian Airlines kye biyina, ekyenjawulo Fly Emirates kye ziyina nti yes, the rulers can have a say, naye they try as much as possible to prevent politics from entering airlines zino. Mu ggwanga lyaffe omuntu ayinza okugamba nti kizibu nnyo, it's difficult. You have to agree kizibu because emize gino, some of them they are at the core of these institutes. Ziri ku center webeera circle, they are in the middle. Nti omuntu wa wansi, for example, siri kunyoma mirimu wano, omuntu akuuma gate alina date gwazanya, manager we azanya date kwegamba from the lowest to the highest, they are all playing dirty. They are there for one main purpose. Kulia, funa shortcut, funa tender zigabira omuntu gw'omanyi, wegagawaze at the expense of the country.
I don't know whether it's possible. So if Ugandans run an airline and they were to believe that they are serious, unless Museveni says Mhozi Kainerugaba is the CEO. Now if Mhozi is there, who will come and say, try to push him to do anything? So there the airline is, and unless he is incapable of running it, at least we know that no one can push him. Or maybe you get Edwin Karujiri, or Reki Wabogo, or Natasha Karujiri. I personally believe that those people who are his family members, who can easily reach him. Everybody else, I can tell you they will kick you around and you'll be out. So that is one. The other solution.
So Andrew hints at the idea nti mu ggwanga lyaffe abantu abalya ssente saagakozesa kigambo kibi. Maybe they would have fear for certain people. Abantu nga CDF, General Mhozi Kainerugaba, abantu nga General Museveni. Ngagamba nti maybe singa yali wakuddukanya airline eno n'ateekawo omuntu nga bamutya. Andrew, I'm guaranteeing you this, no muteekawo balina shortcuts. They'll figure out a way because muntu omu tagenda kubeera nga alaba buli ekigenda mu maaso. Bajja funa shortcut nga gwe omwana omuto ofuna engeri gy'olimba mu muzaddewo. They will also get a shortcut. The problem is so deep that even feared characters mu ggwanga cannot solve it. Eno problem omunauganda omu ayinza okwagiwinga n'agamba nti oba eri mu DNA z'abaana abantu abakola mu government cause buli omu. Tuli kwogera ku Uganda Airlines as an example, naye I can guarantee you this. Singa okola audit in different areas of the government, osobola okusanga nga Uganda Airlines was the tip of the iceberg, nga waliwo areas nga ate zo nvundu nnyo. It's a big possibility. So omuntu omu, yes, I understand where the idea is coming from. Omuntu nga CDF, they might fear. Naye CDF, he's a human being. tagenda kubeera buli wamu, he cannot be omnipresent. Bajja funa shortcut bafune engeri gye bamuzannyamu. General Museveni wagamba nja kyekwatiramu bajja funa shortcut bafune engeri gye bamuzannyamu. So you can argue and say nti the systems are weak. The systems need to be fixed. An individual cannot fix these problems. However strong or feared they are, they cannot fix the issue of ebintu nga Uganda Airlines. We need proper functional systems in place nga zikola. Twetaaga systems mu ggwanga mu bintu nga Uganda Airlines nga zikola, si individuals. Mu katabo Atomic Habits, omusajja James Clear yagamba nti you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Ng'ategeeza ki? Okuba nti oyina ebirooto ne goal ez'amaanyi togenda kufuuka successful. Ofuuka successful lwakuba oyina systems ezikola. Ebintu nga Uganda Airlines, as Ugandans we can dream nti bwe tufuna omuntu ow'amaanyi, a big CEO avudde mu Ethiopian Airlines, Grimawek, tufune omuntu gwe batya as the CDF, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, tufune General Museveni himself. It doesn't guarantee success. You find success by fixing the systems. Uganda Airlines and most government institutes mu ggwanga lyaffe, they lack that. Yes, we might have significant figures, naye those significant figures are human beings. Tebalina maaso buli wamu. Abayaaya abali mu ezo institutes bagezi. Bangi, it's a cartel, it's a cabal, bakolagana. They communicate. Balina engeri gye bakolamu ekintu kyabwe, tosobola kubakwata bonna kubamalayo. Fix the systems. An individual cannot fix Uganda Airlines.
I personally believe that those people who are his family members who can easily reach him. Everybody else, I can tell you, they will kick you around and you will be out. So that is one. The other solution to manage it effectively is to hire white people. And I'm very keen on this. I said it in the last show. Because I can tell you, if you went to the Emirates, the guy, the president of Emirates has retired. The old man. What was his name?
Wake.
No. The president, you know, the CEO is the ruler of Dubai, but the president of the airline was a white man from Britain. The managing director would say yes. He recently retired. He's been there since its creation in 1985 or something, or 1995. But you need to get white people who are highly experienced and above board. You bring them on top dollar and say the top management positions are given to them, 4 positions on the board. Ugandan, you know our cultural attitude. No Ugandan is going to go to a white man and say, hire my wife, hire my daughter, give me a contract, those things. They will be kicked away.
Omuzungu, wenkosa ekigambo omuzungu sitegeeza muntu mweru. Omuzungu, omuntu akulidde mu nsi za West, whether muddugavu muyindi, balina culture ey'enjawulo. Balina amazima. Yes, ojja kujjamu comment section ogambe nti shaba, colonialism, biki. There's something different about them compared to us. Eka. Balina level y'amazima ya honest ey'enjawulo kuffe. System we bakulidde tebabelievinga nnyo mu kulimba. Of course mulimu abalimba. Kumbaga tekubulako musiibuufu. Mulimu abalimba, mulimu abayaye, mulimu ababbi. Naye generally level y'amazima yaabwe yawagguluko ku yaffe. Nti waba akola omulimu ajja gukola honestly, ajja kushowinga up akole. Waba agenda ku break, nga break ya ssaawa ajja genda for 1 hour akomewo. Ebintu ng'ebyo. Womuwa omulimu n'omusasula ajja gukola. He'll do the job. Tojja kujja mu office ye omugambe njagala shortcut. Yes, mulimu ababikola. Sizze wano kwesiriwaza. I know some people do it. Bazungu naye nga they also love shortcuts. Naye generally speaking, woba oyina CEO oba boss nga muzungu kyanjawulo mukko. Kyemmanyi omuntu yenna nga ali okozeeko mu companies zaabwe okimanyi bulungi nnyo ekyo. Sigamba nti ojja kujja omuyingize deal kizibu. Because culture zaabwe, beliefs zaabwe tebabelievinga nnyo mu kulimba. Negwa ku Uganda. Ya initiating ne contact. Nti twagagula engine kola bwoti kitegeera muyite wano amafuta nfunako mmeka 10% ebintu ng'ebyo oyinza okugamba nti culture z'abazungu tebiriyo nnyo ku systems zaabwe z'abakuza we batyo. So Andrew agamba nti maybe the solution could be hire foreigners nga bazungu bajje bagezeeko okustabilizing ekyato. It's a good idea, but I don't agree with him. I still believe nti mu ggwanga lyaffe there are people who can do this job. Mwebali, the problem is they will never have a chance. Tukirabye nti mu ggwanga mu kaseera kano tuli mu kunoonya boss wa Airlines naye nga all signs point towards handpicking. Nti someone will be handpicked from somewhere ajja akola omulimu guno. Why don't you give Ugandans a fighting chance? Do I think omuzungu asobola okukola omulimu guno? Yes, I agree. Do I want them to be handpicked? No, I don't. Njagala muna Uganda ajje akole interview and give Ugandans priority. Singa omuzungu n'omuna Uganda oba foreigner n'omuna Uganda bombi bafuna score yemu mu interview omulimu automatically gugenda ku muna Uganda ye belief yange. Cause ndowooza okubanga omanyi history waffe as a nation, as an airline can help. Of course, nga nkugambye oyo gw'onoowa omulimu ayinza okujja ne culture eri nti kankikube once and for all abazzukulu they retired 5 years old, kankikube nzimbe arcade mu wiiki 2, kankikube ngende ekyanja I buy the whole of Chanja. Ebintu ng'ebyo mentality, culture y'obutaagaliza ggwanga lyo ng'olowooza you're going to enrich yourself weeri, and it's a problem. Ugandans can be competent, but that's the downside. Nti twagala nnyo wano, twagala nnyo nkiryamu ntya.
Please remember that New Vision became the most successful government-run newspaper or media company in the whole of Africa. Why? The founding managing director, William Peck, was white. No, very few Ugandans will go there to ask him for these favors because they don't live in the same cultural context as him. You're not bulldozing around. Short of that, I don't see what Uganda can do to create an airline that is insulated.
I agree. Kigenda kubeera kizibu nnyo as a country okuddukanya airline eno. I see a situation 10 years from now nga it's normal. Unless something special or something different happens. Unless we have systems in place. Mu shoye mu Andrew Mwenda it's even sad. Osekabuses. Andrew Mwenda, I think yakoze ku research ku Jennifer. Sagala onfuna bubi obondaba. This is not an attack on Jennifer as an individual. Andrew Mwenda yamukozeko research and the findings are scary. Bitisa. Maybe kirwali tulowooza the level at which things were bad, it's even worse. Watch.
You know, she was marketing manager or director for Air Uganda. Air Uganda was owned by the Aga Khan. Most of its management operations, if you have worked with the Aga Khan companies, were handled in Paris. So if you're a marketing director in Kampala, you really handled very little. You do not have the eagle-eyes view of the business because it was headquartered in Paris and they handled most of the things there. So she was unable to gain sufficient marketing experience of an airline to write home about. So I need to correct that person who made that comment. Then she's hired as commercial director of Uganda Airlines. She got fired. Why was she fired there? Jennifer owned a company called Abavato. Mm-hmm. She gave this company, Abavato, a contract without approval of the board, without competitive bidding. She gave her own company a contract, a retainer of $52,900 per month as a retainer.
Kino kyembadde nkuunako shortcuts okwagala okwegaggawaza. Andrew agamba nti Jennifer ina company ajuwa kangose language yaffe ya bulijjo ajuwa ekirimu oba ajuwa tenda eberenga ebaako emirimu gyekola ne yeeteeka ku musaala obanga company ye bajuwa akasente akali equivalent ku $5,000 eza dola ng'azifuna buli mwezi. Actually agambye $5,029 eza dola nga zijja buli mwezi, kyategeeza ne retainer. Shortcut. nyina kikampani kyange nyina ekirimo kyenkola nempa kikampani kyange tenda nga buli mwezi kampani yange eri guaranteed egenda funa emitwalo 5,209 eza dola ye level wetuli mu kaseera kano kyategeeza by a retainer it's guaranteed it's going to come every month nga company where the money goes ya muntu ate ali mu position eri endala the love of shortcuts the love of enriching ourselves.
Then again, without approval of management and the board, she gave her own company a contract of $1.7 million to do branding and marketing for the company. When she had given these contracts, the Uganda Airlines hires a guy from Rwanda Air called Paul something. His surname is very complicated. He's from Chris's village, Kanungu there. He had been working with KPMG in Kampala, auditing Air Uganda, where she was working. When Air Uganda closed, KPMG sent her to KPMG Rwanda. KPMG Rwanda made him the auditor for Rwanda Air. After 6 years, I think, or 5 years working with Rwanda Air as an auditor, they hire him as a deputy CFO because they had a Muzungu CFO. When that Muzungu left, he takes over. And when Uganda Airlines was created, he came back home to Uganda. So that man was the first person to attempt to streamline the accounts of Uganda Airlines. He found that the Ugandan Airlines staff did not know how to collect revenue. You know, if you flew by Lufthansa or Kenya Airways and they dropped you in Nairobi, or Rwanda Air, they dropped you in Kigali, or Ethiopian Airways and they dropped you in Addis Ababa, and Uganda Airlines picked you from there. Uganda Airlines is supposed to bill Kenya Airways because they picked their passenger from Nairobi to Entebbe. They had not been billing. He creates a system. He goes to South Africa and hires a young lady, a Mzungu girl, who knew these things. She comes, and within the first 3 weeks of her reporting to work, she identifies $3.6 million and not collected. And in the first 3 months, she had collected about $3 million of that. They fought that girl and chased her away, and I will tell you why. So after she had given this, so when Paul tried to establish proper accounting, he came in conflict with her. The first thing was, she submitted an invoice of her own company, Abavata, worth $450,000. He said, prove the work you have done for us to pay this invoice. She could only produce proof. This is a contract she gave herself of $1.7 million, of which now she was billing $450,000 work done. She could only produce $174,000 of work done. He said, this is all I will pay. Because you don't have evidence of the other work you have done of about $280,000. He refused to pay that.
Mu bitongole nga bino omuntu yenna akozesa amazima, they gang up on you. Kyova nagamba it's a cabal, it's a cartel nti bantu banji, they are connected. So go wojja bakulabanga olugezigezi. Wojja bakulabanga obstacle. They gang up on you, ne bafuna engeri gye bakujja mu company. These things happen. They happen in ministries, they happen in mu authorities ez'enjawulo.
She could only produce $174,000 of work done. He said, this is all I will pay. Because you don't have evidence of the other work you have done of about $280,000. He refused to pay that. Then they were receiving these Airbus A330, 2 of them. They had a function. She spent 800 million shillings on it. She claimed to have 600 guests. Everybody who attended says there were about 100 guests there. So the accusation was she had spent 8 million shillings per guest. Even if you accepted a figure of 600, it was 1.3 million shillings per guest. But you served them only samosas. How can samosas cost? Please, this is very important for people to know. That guy needs to be. People think that she was a competent manager and honest person. I want to give a context of how she lives. So that is the second issue she has. That you are giving these contracts to your own company where you are personally a signatory. There are documents where she signed checks for Abavato. It is the one that has a retainer. It is the one that received the guests. It is the one that has this $1.7 million worth of a contract for branding. These issues are brought before the board, and she's fired by the board. She was friends with somebody I do not want to mention.
Invisible hand. Gamba nogo. Kitegeera nti wobo ina. By the way, when I say gamba nogo, siri gamba nti omunyankole, no. It's a saying we use ogamba oyina omuntu akola link ez'enjawulo and you meet someone superior. So mbuba mugoba ku board backdoor nakuba curve nakavinga naga nafuna shortcut and she meets someone prominent in the country
and now went and started bad-mouthing management and the board who had fired her for her own corruption. And the president, without listening to the board itself, without getting proper information or intelligence on this lady, takes her advice and the security official whom she was working with and fires the board, fires the entire management. Some of them, like Malaya, was arrested. Others are taken to the IGG. Their careers are ruined. And then, what the board had not yet been fired, the board decided to hire PricewaterhouseCoopers to, at a cost of 800 million shillings, to recruit a new CEO. In the process of recruiting a CEO, the president raised an instruction to the minister. I wish I had known earlier, I would have put it on the screen, saying, no, stop that process, hire this lady. So the president, he may have acted in good faith, believing in the intelligence he had been given. And that is how he comes to hire her. When she comes, she begins a vendetta, as I already explained, against anybody who had competence. Because after that, Paul left, she had a guy called Andrew Sekweyama. Andrew tried to establish proper accounts. Brilliant accountant, CFO. She fired him. Then she had 2 acting CFOs. Finally, she hired a fifth person who is there right now. So in 4 years as CEO, she has had chief financial officers 5. So here is the question. I have already told you she has a problem with accounting. She had the problems with Paul because he was exposing her corruption. Doesn't it tell you why chief financial officers? Uganda Airlines, please, Ugandans, listen to me. Uganda Airlines, your good airline, does not have proper accounts. It's difficult to go to its books and say, these are the revenues of this company, these are the expenditures, and this is how it is performing. It's very difficult. The accounts are tangled because she likes it that way, so that you cannot establish what her financial shenanigans are.
Big up, Andrew. That was an amazing breakdown. Your show, yabadde nsufu. I was forced okujukolako reaction. Amazing work, Andrew, as always. Njagala ompe endowooza yo mu comment section wansi awo. As always, kiki olowooza ku bintu byenkonyeeko? Olowooza nga video etandika naggambye, should we listen to Andrew oba ayogera nonsense? Would you classify this as nonsense oba there's something we need to listen to? Bino byayogera birimu amagezi, olina kyolabyemu bya bulimba? Teeka endowooza yo mu comment section wansi awo. Nja kulaba mu video eddako. Peace.